Uneasy calm envelopes the nation over coronavirus spread. Federal government's territorial administration threatens to sack striking Abuja resident doctors, issues 24-hour ultimatum. On the international scene, Italy's coronavirus death toll surpasses China's figures. And in sport, Monaco Grand Prix cancelled, Dutch-Spanish races postponed as Covid-19 spreads across the world.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. There is an air of uneasiness in the country as coronavirus begins to seriously rearrange lifestyles in the nation. COVID-19 has also continued its spread across different states. Many states have begun to put measures in place to prepare for any eventualities the virus could impose on the nation. Schools in many states are shut down. Programs in churches and mosques have been upended. Even social activities, public gatherings and courtesies have been jettisoned. Ogun State, Lagos, Ondo, Enugu States and the Federal Capital Territory have ordered immediate school closures. Even the federal government has ordered the closure of all 104 unity schools in the country from Monday in order to prevent the spread of the dreaded coronavirus. The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, has announced the immediate shutdown of all its enrollment centers. The Nigerian Senate has banned all public hearings and student excursions to the Senate galleries. Other legislative activities that would attract large groups have been restricted. The federal government has taken further steps to restrain the spread of the virus in 3 airports: Aminu Kano International, Kano, Akanu Ibiam International, Enugu, and the Port Harcourt International have been shut down. Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Nuhu, said in a statement the shutdown was part of its strategic measures to curb the spread of coronavirus across the country. The DG said the 3 airports would be closed from Saturday till further notice. Nuhu said the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and the Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos are still open, but no flights will be allowed from the 13 countries Nigeria has banned for their high-risk COVID-19 status. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde says he's sorry for allowing the People's Democratic Party (PDP) rally that was held in Ibadan in this critical coronavirus period. The governor said in a statement on Thursday the program should have been cancelled. He said the action was based on information his administration had at the time. Makinde said, quote, "In retrospect, it should not have happened and I take responsibility for that lapse in judgment," end quote. The governor said the people can rest assured that his administration was working hard and collaborating with federal government agencies to ensure proactive measures are taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19. He said Oyo State is establishing a COVID-19 task force. At a time when Nigeria is battling coronavirus, one expects all medical services would be heightened and all medical hands would be on deck. But resident doctors have gone on strike, complaining of overdue salaries and unsafe working conditions. Reporter Phil Ihaza has the details.
At this government hospital in Abuja, there are no doctors or patients in sight. Doctors in Abuja have gone on an indefinite strike over the non-payment of salaries for over 2 months.
We issued management 14-day ultimatum, which lapsed on the 6th of March. And that 6th of March, we had another indulgence in general meeting where we even extended the ultimatum to 13th, based on the meeting we had with them for them to meet up the 13th, which is Friday. I told them that even after the 13th, that we will still wait over the weekend. If by midnight of Sunday or 001 hour of Monday 16th, our monies are not paid, then we're down tools. And of course, it happened, and we proceeded on the strike action.
The government made a new payroll system compulsory for all public institutions in October last year. Since then, doctors say there have been issues paying health workers on time. The Association of Resident Doctors says despite several meetings with government officials since starting the strike, no resolution has emerged.
We couldn't actually arrive at decision. And from there, we proceeded to the National Assembly. We had a meeting with the House Committee on the Health Services yesterday, and the Honorable Speaker, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, was in attendance physically. And he made an appeal that because of the global health emergency of the coronavirus, we should rethink our decision and all those stuff. Yes, I also told them there and then that it's not me as the president calling the strike. It was a Congress decision. I will also take this message back to the Congress.
The strike comes with health workers potentially in high demand if the coronavirus outbreak spreads. And doctors say there is need for better motivation for them at such a time as this. However, it is not clear when the doctors will resume work despite pleas by the government officials for more time to sort out the payment issues.
A prolonged strike by doctors could hinder the efforts by the country to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The hope is that the ongoing deliberations between the government and doctors can bring about an agreement soon so lives aren't put at risk.
The striking doctors are being confronted with the threat of losing their jobs if they don't return to work within 24 hours. That threat coming from the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) on Thursday. FCT Minister of State Ramatu Aliyu gave the ultimatum at a news conference in Abuja after an emergency meeting of to management staff of the FCTA. The doctors say their strike began after exhaustive deliberations on the hazards posed by coronavirus, the work conditions and the healthcare system. But the minister said it's not only the doctors that are facing the salary problems. She said all FCTA staff are in the same boat. Coming up, African stories. Tunisia closes borders with neighboring Libya. South Africa refugee reception offices stop accepting applications. Mauritius and Chad report first cases of COVID-19. Details coming up. And later, international news. Italy now has the highest coronavirus death toll than any place on earth.
You are watching ANN.
Today, title reach for me to settle blessing. Blessing for you. When this girl first got this my shop called network. Now so on top of NTF 4G phone. Now this girl could press. I provoke. I paranoid short in reach what time, eh? The ambulance to make her tell her to make she mash her at. Come up from my shop. And later I come realize say this girl go snap am. Put her for inside internet. They take her to adverts. Now I make customers that they come with my shop. Blessing, I want make you help me manage my shop now.
My name but I think Nami and Blessing start work the same time.
Now you and Blessing start work the same time. Blessing, you better start with a T-shirt for top of your 4G MTN phone.
Business makes sense on top super fast and reliable MTN 4G. Join MTN, make you enjoy double data.
Welcome back. This is CNN News. Now to African stories. Mauritius has confirmed its first 3 cases of coronavirus. Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth said the 3 are now in isolation. 2 of the 3 cases are said to be cruise ship workers, 21 and 25 years old. The third is a 59-year-old traveler from the UK. Jugnauth said the government is tracing all who had contact with the British traveler. In response to these cases, the government has closed all its schools and border points. The government has also placed a 2-week ban on commercial flights and tourists. The outbreak of coronavirus has basically changed the way South Africa's refugee operation works, and some of the refugee reception offices in the country have even stopped accepting new asylum applications in order to adhere to the government's strict measure to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Afraid of the spread of the coronavirus in the country, the South African government has closed nearly half of its 72 ports of entry. Following President Cyril Ramaphosa's declaration of a state of disaster last week, some refugee reception offices also stopped issuing and renewing asylum permits as their staff wait for protected gear to arrive. There has been no confirmation by the Department of Home Affairs, of any measures now that would take care of arriving asylum seekers. The International Organization for Migration and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, have said they would temporarily halt refugee resettlements. UNHCR wrote on its website that this action is inevitable because of drastic entry bans into many countries because of COVID-19. It says restrictions on international air travel also would make it difficult to carry out its refugee resettlement program because of severe disruptions in travel arrangements. Tunisia has suspended all international flights and closed its borders in an effort to contain the spread of the deadly coronavirus. Its land borders with neighboring Libya are also closed, although Tunisia has a relatively low number of coronavirus cases. Prime Minister Elias Faktoua has taken several measures to ensure the country is able to contain the disease. Reporter Adnan Chawoji has the details.
Tunisian and Libyan authorities have closed the Wezem Dhiba and Bingerdan border crossings over coronavirus concerns. Members of the crisis unit in the Tunisian governorate of Tatawin said that health measures have been reinforced at the borders.
Prevention is our first strategy in order to guarantee the safety of all people before they cross the border in any direction. The government employees, customs agents and security forces, as well as Tunisian and Libyan travelers, were sensitized.
Faiza Sarraj said that schools and universities would be closed for 2 weeks. Thousands of Libyans seized the last opportunity to return home before the border closure.
The coronavirus has spread to the world. It does not stop at the border. The Libyan government wants to prevent a catastrophe. All the measures taken by the government in Tripoli aim to counter the virus.
Some Libyan families chose to stay in Tunisia where the healthcare system is more efficient.
The coronavirus terrifies many people, especially the elderly. I opted to stay in Tunisia because I can take my parents to the clinic in case of an emergency.
Tunisian and Libyan authorities have banned public meetings and closed mosques, as well as shisha bars, over coronavirus. Libyan state workers were advised to take their annual leave. Meanwhile, foreign nationals were banned from entering the North African state to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Chad's president has told the nation not to give in to panic after the country confirmed its first coronavirus case on Thursday. President Idris Deby has urged everyone to follow hygiene rules and other recommended measures. Chad has imposed a 2-week suspension on all incoming and outgoing international flights. Cargo planes are also exempted. The country is also closing some of its land borders and has placed a ban on gatherings of more than 50 persons. Officially, all Central African countries are now infected with the COVID-19. Meanwhile, Tunisia has confirmed the first fatal case of coronavirus in a 72-year-old woman. The North African nation recorded its first coronavirus case 18 days ago and now has 39 confirmed cases. The death toll in Africa is now 20. 7 persons have died in Egypt, 9 in Algeria, 2 in Morocco, 1 in the Sudan, and 1 in Burkina Faso. The continent as a whole has more than 600 confirmed cases, still fewer than the rest of the world. When we return, international news. Italy's coronavirus death toll surpasses China's figures. And later, sport. Monaco Grand Prix cancelled. Dutch-Spanish races postponed.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News on the international scene. Sadly, Italy has been named the world's deadliest center of the COVID-19 outbreak after surpassing China in recorded number of deaths related to coronavirus. Officials of the Italian Civil Protection Agency confirmed at a news conference the number of coronavirus deaths in the country has gone beyond 3,400. Italy has placed its 60 million citizens under lockdown in early March as cases skyrocketed daily. Government now says the lockdown will be extended further beyond April the 3rd, original date set for lifting the lockdown. Italy's world-class health system has been pushed to the brink amid the outbreak, especially in the country's north, which has seen the highest concentration of cases. Letters have gone out in the UK to tens of thousands of retired healthcare professionals to return to work to help the National Health Service in the current coronavirus outbreak. In Scotland, for instance, anyone who left the medical profession during the past 3 years has also been asked to consider returning to the NHS. Unfortunately, hundreds of new cases are being confirmed in the UK each day, with more than 600 additional cases in the last 24 hours. UK's General Medical Council is also asking for help from another 15,000 doctors who have left the register since 2017. The Nursing Council is writing to about 50,000 professionals whose registrations had lapsed in the last 3 years. Retired emergency service staff could also be recalled, as well as recently retired firefighters below 70 years of age. On top of this, final year medical and nursing students are being offered temporary work to help ease the burden on the health service. One proposal under discussion is for the UK to follow the lead of countries such as Denmark, where the government has promised to cover 75% of salaries for 3 months at private companies if they promise not to lay off staff. 144 persons with the virus have died in the UK and more than 3,000 have tested positive for COVID-19. The most populous state in the U.S., California, has ordered its nearly 40 million residents to stay home to prevent the spread of the deadly coronavirus. So far, 19 persons have died in the state and nearly 1,000 tested positive for coronavirus. California Governor Gavin Newsom's already effective order marks the first statewide mandatory restrictions issued in the United States to help combat the outbreak. This indefinite restrictions order means Californians should not leave home except for essential things such as food, prescriptions, health care, and commuting to jobs considered crucial. Under the order, essential services such as gas stations, pharmacies, grocery stores, farmers markets, food banks, convenience stores, and delivery restaurants will remain open. So will banks, local government offices that provide services, and law enforcement agencies. Saudi Arabia has suspended daily and weekly prayers inside and outside the walls of the two mosques in Mecca and Medina. Earlier on Tuesday, Saudi Arabia suspended congregational prayers in all the mosques in the country except Masjid al-Haram and Masjid al-Nabil in Mecca and Medina respectively. Saudi Arabia recorded 36 new infections on Thursday, bringing its total to 274. No deaths have so far been reported. The oil-producing nation has taken drastic measures already. In addition to closing mosques, Saudi Arabia has stopped international flights. It has suspended Umrah year-round pilgrimage to Mecca. Schools, malls and restaurants have been shut down, and has also asked people to stop going to work. Oil prices fell below $30 a barrel this week after the worldwide coronavirus outbreak worsened over the weekend, exacerbating fears that government lockdowns to contain the spread of the disease would spark a global recession. Top global oil producers, Saudi Arabia and Russia, started a price war after failing to agree on a plan to curb supply as the global economic slowdown destroys oil demand.
Bernadette Johnson is a VP at Enverus, a Colorado company that does data analysis for energy providers. In an office that's been emptied of employees due to the coronavirus outbreak, Johnson is keeping tabs on another big shock. This one involves oil.
It's hitting everybody. We're being squeezed from both sides. Demand comes down, that means price drops. Supply is also going up.
Earlier this month, an agreement by Saudi Arabia and Russia to prop up oil prices by limiting production blew up.
Russia just said unilaterally, we're not going to listen to you. So then Saudi Arabia decided that to in one sense, punish Russia. So they decided we're going to play a game of chicken and we're going to pump even more.
Crude oil that sold for $60+ a barrel when the year started is now in the high 20s, and some experts say headed even lower. Some are calling it the most destructive oil price crash in history.
Oil and gas producers are pulling back. They're laying down rigs, they're laying down frac crews, they're holding wells that they were going to bring online until later in the year, hopefully when prices recover.
It's hitting all segments of the industry in states like Colorado, which rely heavily on jobs generated by the energy sector, from oil field service workers down to welders, electricians, and plumbers.
Have we heard of a few new layoffs? We have in the past 10 days or so. Is there certainly the fear that you're going to see more of that? I think it's pretty likely.
As a result, U.S. counties in the oil and gas patch are also likely to collect far fewer taxes.
That county depends on that revenue, right? And so there's a multiplier effect in that county when workers get laid off.
Johnson says while larger oil and gas companies with cash reserves and not overburdened by debt can better weather this storm, many smaller outfits could be in trouble. And all the uncertainty surrounding the pandemic, she adds, makes matters worse.
If we knew it was 2 months for sure, the industry and the market can react to that. But I think the bigger challenge is we just don't know how long it's going to last, and it makes it really hard to plan.
With no agreement to cut production on the horizon, she expects the glut of oil fueled by the pandemic to persist through the summer. A gift for drivers, no doubt, a real concern for those who depend on energy to make a living.
Up next, sport. Monaco Grand Prix cancelled, Dutch Spanish races postponed as Covid-19 spreads across the world. Please join us again.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and Sport. Super Eagles player Wilfred Ndidi is currently the most valuable player on the team. The outstanding Premier League season for the 23-year-old has seen his value increase by 30% and is now valued at 45 million euros. Ndidi has made 29 appearances and scored twice in all competitions this season. The 23-year-old, who earned a record to the Super Eagles after a long time out, has 3 goals and 4 assists in 12 Premier League appearances this season. The coronavirus pandemic has forced the suspension of the Dutch and Spanish Grand Prix and the cancellation of the Monaco Grand Prix. The Dutch Grand Prix, due to return to the calendar for the first time since 1985, was to start in May, with the Spanish race and the Monaco Grand Prix same month. But with the ongoing coronavirus situation, all 3 races have now been put on hold. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a great weekend.